Welcome to page 11 of your volume packet. When calculating volume, we can be asked to give our answers in several different forms. You may be asked to give your answer in pi form. This is where we never use a value for pi. We actually leave the pi symbol embedded in the answer. So you may be asked to calculate the volume in pi form. The second way you may be asked to calculate the volume is using the pi key on your calculator. We know the pi key gives us a value that we can plug into the formula. When you get your answer, it may need to be rounded. So in this case, when you get an answer like this, and you might be asked to round to the tenths place, we take a look at the answer and we round. The approximate volume is 342.8 centimeters cubed. So most of the time when we use the pi key, we're certainly going to have to round our answers. And finally, you may be asked for the third option when it comes to pi. The third option has you use a rounded version of pi, 3.14. And on this worksheet, that's what we're going to use. So do not leave your answer in pi form. Do not use the pi key. But for this particular worksheet, we're going to use 3.14, the rounded version of pi. We're going to eliminate this step. Let's take a closer look at the worksheet. We know the volume formula for a cylinder is V equals pi times R times R times H. And in this particular case, we're going to let pi be 3.14. It states, find the volume of each cylinder. Use the formula V equals big B times H. But we know that the specific formula that we're going to use is V equals pi times R times R times H. Use your calculator to help you. Let's look at cylinder A. Step 1, jot down the formula V equals pi times R times H. We know that R stands for the radius, which is 3 feet, and we know H stands for the height, which is 5 feet. So let's substitute for what we know. Step 2, V equals pi, which is 3.14, times a radius of 3 times a radius of 3 times a height of 5. Grab your calculator, do not use the pi key, and punch in this problem and calculate the volume. Pause the video if you need a moment to enter this information into your calculator. You should have gotten 141.3 feet cubed. Let's move on to letter C together. There is one interesting feature about letter C that I'd like to discuss. We can see in letter C, we've been given a diameter of 8. If we cut that in half, we know the radius for this cylinder is 4 inches. And that's the information we need in order to calculate the volume. Clearly the height is 8 inches. So we'll be using a radius of 4 and a height of 8 in the volume formula. Step 1. Always jot down the formula. Volume equals pi times r times r times h. Step 2. Substitute. V equals 3.14 times 4 times 4 times 8. Now take a moment and pause your video. Calculate the volume of this particular cylinder. When you're ready, turn your video back on and compare answers. Please pause your video. Compare your answer with the given answer. Make sure you label in cubic inches. Let's take a look at one more together, letter D. We can see that in letter D, this cylinder has been tipped over on its side. We can see that the radius starts at the center and radiates out to the side. The length of the radius is 26 meters. Please label that R. And even though the cylinder has been tipped over, the height is 46 meters. Let's calculate the volume of this cylinder. Start with the formula. V equals pi times r times h. Step 2, let's substitute. 3.14 for pi times 26 times 26 times 46. Pause the video and take a moment to calculate the volume in cubic meters or meters cubed. Please pause the video. Compare your answer with the given answer. And make sure you have a label. It should be labeled meters cubed or cubic meters. Now, it's up to you to complete the rest of the problems on your own. Make sure you use 3.14 for pi, and you should finish on your own B, E, F, G, and H. In each case, you've been given a radius and a height, except for in letter F, you've been given a diameter of 16. Therefore, the radius is 8 centimeters. Please label that right now. You will have 3 steps for each of the problems that you complete. Check your work against the answer key at the very end of this lesson. But for now, pause the video, grab your calculator and packet and pencil, and complete the problems that remain. When you're done, turn the video back on and check your answers against the answer key. Please pause your video. Now take a moment and correct your work. Compare your answers to the given answers. Give yourself a C if you are correct, and if you made a mistake, draw a line through your answer. This concludes the video for calculating volume of a cylinder.